Altos is brought to you with the kind compliments of Rituals Coffee House.
Good evening and welcome to Altos, a weekly news and current affairs program produced by the Catholic News and broadcast on Trinity TV and TTT. I'm Roger Sant. Our top stories this week. A plea for financial assistance for Archbishop Emeritus Robert Rivas, who is now warded at the West Shore Medical Facility. The tab for his medical care is $400,000. We'll tell you what one Roman Catholic priest has to say about the state of healthcare in TNT. The Archbishop appeals for us to live the words of the national anthem, where every creed and race finds an equal place. Cricket great Sir Garfield sobers, praised for his on and off the field presence as he is laid to rest. And later, we continue with part 2 of our conversation with Bishop Emeritus Clyde Harvey. Our top story this evening: a whopping $401,000 is the cost for medication and treatment for Archbishop Emeritus Robert Rivas, who is currently warded at the West Shore Medical Center. And there's an appeal for financial help to fund his medical expenses. The appeal comes from the St. Finbar's Dominican community. We have more in this report.
On June 27th this year, Archbishop Emeritus Robert Rivas, OP, marked his 55th anniversary as a priest. On Friday, March 6th, he delivered a homily at a Lenten retreat at Holy Cross RC Church in Princestown, where he spoke about the importance of Catholics being disciples.
As disciples on mission, our call is not short-term, but a permanent call that is meant to last throughout our life.
This week, a release from the St. Finbar's Dominican community signed by Father Urban Hudlin, parish priest at St. Finbar's, and Kenneth Chang-on, Archbishop's relative, stated that since Easter, Archbishop Rivas has been suffering from a variety of medical conditions that have left him mainly confined to bed. According to the release, 2 Mondays ago, he was admitted to West Shore Medical Private Hospital after experiencing unbearable pain. An MRI revealed that he is suffering from a condition called bursitis, which is an inflammation of the intervertebral discs of the spine, most commonly caused by a bacterial infection. Treatment involves 6 to 8 weeks of intravenous antibiotics and a spinal immobilization while undergoing physiotherapy. The release stated that his medical insurance has been covering 80% of the expenses for his treatment, but that came to an end on Friday, July 24th. His policy now covers only 40% of the cost that will be incurred during his estimated 6-week stay at West Shore. The release stated the last estimate received for his stay, medication, and treatment was $401,000 TT dollars. Given the hefty cost of treatment, an urgent appeal is now being made to all who may be able to assist His Grace financially during his time of need. If you want to help, your contributions may be deposited or transferred online to Archbishop Rivas. The name Robert Rivas, account number 4400-3163-3631, Republic Bank, Diego Martin. And a note is requested saying for Archbishop Rivas medical expenses.
Meantime, Bishop Emeritus Clyde Harvey has criticized the healthcare system in Trinidad and Tobago, lamenting the cost of private medical care. He gave his own personal experience while delivering a joint homily with Monsignor Christian Pereira at a Golden Jubilee Mass held in their honor as parishioners of the Santa Rosa Malabar RC cluster in Barima and parishioners from the Maloney community came together last Sunday. Altos reporter Clysha Best has more.
Bishop Harvey and Monsignor Pereira delivered a joint homily, with Bishop Harvey zooming in on the national issue of healthcare, lamenting that the nation's priorities may be out of order.
Because I had to put my brother-in-law into West Shore Medical one morning at 3 o'clock. The hospitals had no doctors available. And within 6 hours, the bill was $10,000. By the time he left the hospital in less than a week, it was $70,000. Something is wrong with the healthcare system. And we have to ask ourselves, do we really value the health of citizens in a way that enables us, challenges us to confront those kinds of things?
Monsignor Pereira urged the church to become a place where everyone is welcome.
And I pray that our church will truly be a church where all humanity feel that they belong, experience that sense of welcome and acceptance, and know that indeed we are the people of God, the body of Christ, transformed by what we receive in the Eucharist. But more than just transformed, we're able to allow others to be transformed by our own transforming behavior.
After the Mass, there was a special moment of recognition. El Patio, the parish hall, was officially renamed the Monsignor Christian Pereira Parish Hall, a tribute to Pereira's years of service as parish priest of Barima from 2002 to 2011. Monsignor Pereira oversaw major construction and refurbishment projects during his tenure, including improvements to the church sanctuary and the construction of the Monsignor Péchier Hall. The Mass was the latest in the Archdiocese, celebrating their 50 years of faith and service, marked by a lasting tribute to Monsignor Pereira, a hall that will now bear his name for generations to come. I am Clysha Best for Catholic News, Altos.
Archbishop Charles Jason Gordon says there's a dire need in this country for us to stop acting as if some people are inferior and live the words of the national anthem, where every creed and race finds an equal place. The anthem, he says, also calls on God to bless our nation. But His Grace is cautioning we cannot ask God to bless our nation if we don't act as if every creed and race has an equal place. We have more. Delivering the homily at Mass at the chapel at Archbishop's house on July 28th, His Grace Archbishop Charles Jason Gordon lamented that there's a virus in this land that has caused us to treat each other badly. And while he made no reference to the racial dialogue now taking center stage following leaked audio of a conversation, His Grace pointed to the words of the national anthem, saying all of us need to take note of what it says.
We cannot continue acting as if other people are somehow inferior. We sing in our national anthem, every has an, and then the next line is, and may God bless our nation. So we can't ask God to bless our nation if we don't act as if every has an equal place.
Reflecting on the reading from the prophet Jeremiah in chapter 14, His Grace said, each of us must ask ourselves whether we treat each other with dignity and whether we recognize each other as the image of God, regardless of creed and race.
Could we say as a country as diverse as we are, that we have really seen in our diversity the very Trinity of God and the diversity in the Godhead, and celebrate the diversity in ways that really help us to understand the beauty of this wonderful Twin Island Republic, that our differences have actually added so tremendously to who we are? Could we say that?
Archbishop Gordon said the call of the prophet Jeremiah to repentance must resonate with each of us.
And I think if we could all recognize that we have sinned, then we could find our way back to God.
For many parents of children with disabilities, round-the-clock caregiving can be both physically and emotionally demanding, especially during vacation time. Recognizing that need, Bethesda is once again hosting its annual Respite camp, providing a safe, engaging environment for children while giving parents and caregivers a much-needed opportunity to rest and recharge. Dale Sedano was at the Holy Faith Convent in Couva and brings us this report.
The 5th annual Bethesda Respite Camp is currently underway at Holy Faith Convent, Couva. The 2-week camp caters to children with disabilities while providing parents and caregivers with a much-needed opportunity to rest and recharge. Founder of Bethesda, Cyril Lafourcade, says the initiative was created to support families by offering quality care for their children in a safe and nurturing environment.
We started our camp in 2021, shortly after the pandemic. Respite being temporary care of persons with disabilities so that their caregivers can get a break. But the only way parents or caregivers can get a genuine break is when they are responsible persons who can take care of their persons with disabilities. We provide care or wellness activities for parents. So at the end of the 2 weeks, they're able to be rejuvenated themselves so they can then take better care of their persons with disabilities afterwards.
The camp caters to children between the ages of 5 and 17 and is staffed by trained professionals, supported by volunteers who undergo a week of preparation before the camp begins. Lafourcade also gave us a tour of some of the camp's sensory spaces, designed to meet the diverse needs of children in their care.
Here is Sensory Room 2, where we do a lot more calming. And it's deliberate because sometimes we have children who are so overwhelmed that they not just need to go in the pods to help calm them down, but sometimes they might need to actually lie down.
Lafourcade says that the camp is a significant financial undertaking, and Bethesda remains grateful to the many benefactors whose continued generosity makes the program possible each year. She also noted that several parishes sponsored children to attend the camp and gave special recognition to the Archdiocesan Family Life Commission, whose ongoing support she describes as vital to the camp's success. Lafourcade is also grateful to the management of Holy Faith Convent Couva for allowing the school to serve as the home of the camp since its inception in 2021. The Respite Camp runs from July 27th to August 7th, with a closing ceremony scheduled for August 8th. I am Dale Sedano, reporting for Catholic News, Altos.
West Indies cricket legend Sir Garfield Sobers was laid to rest on Wednesday after a state funeral in his native Barbados. Catholic News editor Raymond Sims has that story.
O God of grace and glory, we remember before you this day our brother, Garfield St. Auburn. We thank you for giving him to us, his family and friends, to know and love as a companion on our earthly pilgrimage. In your boundless compassion, console us who mourn.
Sir Garfield Sobers, who once held the record for the most individual runs in Test cricket, died on July 17th, 11 days short of his 90th birthday on July 28th. A number of dignitaries attended the grand state funeral on Wednesday at the Kensington Oval in Bridgetown. Among those addressing the gathering were Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley, St. Lucia's Prime Minister Philip J. Pay, current chairman of CARICOM, cricket legend Sir Clive Lloyd of Guyana, and batting great Trinidadian Brian Lara, who broke Sir Gary's record. He spoke highly of the man whom he described as both mentor and friend.
Today, we pay tribute to the man who could have done it all. A life unlike any other, but more importantly, we celebrate a man who gave much of himself to his family, to Barbados, to the West Indies, and to all of us who had the privilege of knowing him. For me, Sir Gary was not just a West Indian sporting hero, whose records inspired me and millions of sportsmen and sportswomen. He became a personal mentor, a friend, and someone whose belief in me shaped my own journey.
Bishop Neil Scantlebury of Bridgetown is overseas and was unable to attend the state funeral. In a statement issued on Wednesday, he noted that growing up, every young boy playing cricket wanted to be like Sir Gary, including himself. He said Sir Gary played the game with elegance, courage, and remarkable versatility, and his extraordinary talent and sportsmanship inspired generations of cricketers and fans. Bishop Scantlebury noted that Sir Garfield Sobers reminds us that true greatness is measured not only by records and accolades, but more so by one's character. Sir Garfield Sobers was laid to rest following a private interment in the Icon section of Coral Ridge Memorial Gardens in Barbados. I am Raymond Sims for Catholic News, Altos.
Well, in Guyana, a loss too difficult to comprehend. That's how Bishop Francis Allen of Georgetown has described the MV Barima tragedy, where 72 people died, 30 are still unaccounted for, and another 77 rescued after the vessel capsized in one of Guyana's deadliest maritime tragedies. A grieving nation gathered at the Brigham Cathedral on Wednesday for a mass of consolation and a prayer, where Bishop Allen called for national reflection and change. Altos reporter Kaylin Jordan reports.
Court earlier today, the men were overheard making statements about the state of the vessel.
One day after the captain and 2 crew members were charged with 72 counts of murder resulting from the MV Barima tragedy, mourners gathered at the Brigham Roman Catholic Cathedral for a mass of consolation and prayer. At the front of the church, a banner bearing the faces of those who lost their lives stood as a solemn reminder of the scale of the tragedy. Main celebrant Bishop of Georgetown, Francis Allen, says the loss is difficult to comprehend.
In terms of the number and the tragedy, it's beyond our comprehension. Today, the nation grieves.
Drawing on the reading from Jeremiah chapter 10, where drought symbolizes the absence of God in people's lives, Bishop Allen notes that same kind of absence is now being seen in accountability, responsibility, and safety.
It's certainly not evidence of drought, absence of accountability, and the absence of proper procedures, the absence of responsibility, or there seems to have been not sufficient care and safety, and that drought has brought severe tragedy and death.
Bishop Allen is now calling for national reflection and change.
Are there things we need to do differently? And I think that's a question that we as a nation need to ask.
During the Mass, the names of those who died were read aloud as prayers were also offered for survivors and those still unaccounted for. I am Kaylin Jordan reporting for Catholic News, Altos.
We'll take a short break. When we return, we hear from Bishop Emeritus Clyde Harvey about his 50 years in the priesthood. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Well, as he celebrates 50 years of priesthood, retired Bishop Clyde Harvey is continuing to share his story. In part 2 of his conversation with Altos' Kaylin Jordan and Dale Sedeno, he reflects on his early years in the seminary, the personal cost of speaking out, and his hopes for future vocations while now living in retirement here in TNT. Let's listen in.
Bishop, if you're being completely honest, was the priesthood anything that you imagine it to become, to be?
No. No, it was, I was a nice little fella, right? Quite inexperienced when I decided to go to the seminary. The seminary opened up a world for me. But in those days, the priesthood, and I look back at the ordination pictures, and the 3 of us were so pious, you know. Now, the good thing about seminary in those days, I don't know about it now, was that seminary was fun. You know, all of us young men from all over the Caribbean, and we had a lot of fun together, and those friendships have remained through the years. But right now, I look back on those years. Of course, you wonder what would have happened if you'd chosen another path. If I had not become a priest and dreamt some of the dreams, fulfilled some of the dreams I had then, you know, 6 children and all that kind of jazz, where would you be? But I've always I've come to realize that although there are moments when I thought of not continuing as a priest or doing something different, as I look back, I have no regrets, no regrets. And it's mainly because of the person whom I have become. And I like to put that in terms of spirituality. I am not one to get on my knees and say a lot of prayers, but I am convinced that the core of authentic Christian spirituality is that God became a human being. And the task for us now is that we must become sacraments of God.
Now, you have been known to speak boldly about, social issues, and you mentioned poverty in particular. You speaking out boldly on these issues, did that ever come at a price? What did it cost you?
Well, it cost me a number of things. And it cost me, let me first of all put it this way. I will always say, I don't think my speaking out costs me as much as life situations have cost people in this country. So I don't think that speaking out boldly and all that thing is some cause of triumph and so on. In many ways I have failed the people for whom people thought I represented. Didn't go far enough. But you're living in a society where you have to be careful that you don't destroy yourself in saying you're trying to help people, and then in the end the people you're trying to help have nobody to help them. So that has been a bit of a problem. But I have been amazed at the support that you get when you dare to speak out. I mean, both in the church and in the country at large. I mean, I didn't have anything in mind when I put into the public domain a letter objecting to the Archbishop of the appointment of Archbishop Gilbert. I just thought I would say something because that was how I felt deeply. But the response to that was amazing for me, and I still say it was a moment in which a lot of people found voice to articulate some of the things that they were feeling. The other thing was the moment when I did a little walk around. It wasn't the Red House, it was the then Parliament building down in Ryson Road. And again, I didn't have anything about Clyde Harvey. It wasn't about me. It was the deep sense that I had that language in Parliament had been seriously degraded. And if we lose a sense of language and standards in the Parliament, and the young people are hearing this all the time, the society is going down the drain. And I will say this today, coming back home, I realize it's no better now.
As much as we would appreciate a Caribbean bishop, we are also hearing continuously a shortage of vocations.
We must never lose faith in ourselves. When the issue came up of a bishop for Grenada, I heard Grenadians saying, no Grenadian. That's nonsense. That's nonsense, The key is to not see the priest or the bishop as an individual. And this is where Pope Leo told us something I think is amazing. He was talking about, although you're bringing in missionary priests, the first thing you have to do is to make sure that they understand that they must be incarnated and incarnate in the country to which they go, right? And we have a serious problem there, because while I know some of the bishops are saying that they let the foreign missionary live with a local priest and so on, unless the local priest understands the analysis that should go on, unless the local priest is himself trained to see the issues, because there are serious issues when you think of foreign missionaries, especially coming from Africa or Asia coming here. One which is obvious, I think, is the attitude towards women. Another, which is very serious, is what kind of church are you trying to build? So when we're talking vocations, I have felt for some time now that the key issue is not individual vocations of priesthood and religious life. The key issue is the vocation of the church. what vocation does the church have a sense of having? And unless people begin to realize that having priests to say Mass is betraying the total vocation of the church. The body of Christ is in the first place the people of God. Right? If you read Paul to the Corinthians and you read it rightly, it is the people of Christ, of God, who are the living presence of Christ, you know.
Let's talk retirement. I'm wrapping up.
Oh, I was...
How is retirement like back here in home soil?
What retirement means, I don't know as yet. I'm seeing all kinds of possibilities. My first commitment right now is to my family, to make sure that my dear, 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 dear sister and her mischievous husband are taken care of in these twilight moments of their lives, 98 and 93. You know, so that's what I'm most concerned about. Beyond that, coming back to Trinidad has opened up my eyes to so many things, both in church and in state. And I love Grenada. I would have liked to stay on Grand Anse Beach and spend the rest of my life gazing at the stars and so on. But the Vatican told me, get out of Grenada and stay out for a while at least. So I am here. Archbishop Gordon has been very kind, and I appreciate that a lot. And in a sense, everybody has been kind. And I haven't met a single person who has not been kind to me. What I hope is that in a measured way, like even saying Mass when I do, and preaching, I have a deep sense of purpose as I try to do that well. And I hope that it bears fruit, but we wait and see.
In your Catholic news this weekend, Freedom That Recognizes Human Dignity is the editorial as the nation commemorates Emancipation Day on Saturday, August 1st. A reminder to citizens from Green Thumb columnist Rihanna Boudram to prepare for natural disasters. Senior writer Laura Pickford Gordon features Women of the Soil. It's not about agriculture, but about service to the community. And the Catholic Commission for Social Justice column addresses justice and peace during a state of emergency. Here are the clergy anniversaries for the coming week. I'm Raymond Sims, editor of the Catholic News.
Make sure and pick up your copy. Well, internationally now, Pope Leo XIV spoke of music's power to overcome division on Wednesday during a peace gathering at Castel Gandolfo, marking the 800th anniversary of the death of St. Francis of Assisi. We have more in this report.
Pope Leo XIV finished his summer vacation on Monday, July 27th. He returned to Castel Gandolfo 2 days later for a concert in the gardens. He was welcomed by Cardinal Fabio Baggio.
È con profonda gioia e gratitudine che vi accolgo al Borgo Laudato Si, nei giardini pontifici di Castel Gandolfo, per questo momento di preghiera, fraternità e musica.
Andrea Bocelli sang, accompanied by a choir of about 200 children from across the world, including Italy, Uganda, and the Holy Land. The Pope even thanked them for participating in the event.
We have just listened to your beautiful singing. Music has the remarkable ability to bring different voices together in unison, where each one contributes something unique to the whole. In this sense, the choir becomes an ideal symbol of harmony and cooperation.
The concert's purpose mirrors the Pope's appeal to pray for peace.
Powerful powerful voices there. Well, that's a wrap on our program for this week. We thank you for viewing. As usual, we want to remind you to pray for Trinidad and Tobago, read your Bible, and learn your faith. Well, it's vacation time in TNT and across many parts of the world, and many parishes are hosting camps for children. As we go, we leave you with the children from the St. Michael RC Church in Maracas. They participated in a music camp last week and performed at a concert to close off the week of activities. Enjoy. Have a safe and blessed week, everyone.
Altos was brought to you with the kind compliments of Rituals Coffee House.